Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and thank you as ever for joining us on another episode, conversation, call it what you want. You know, on this day as I record, obviously West Indies have lost the second T20 against Australia. We're not going to dive into that one. Santoki and I will do a review show, maybe a live one after the third game, and look at the T20 series as a whole and try and establish and understand what it means going forward. Remember, these are our last set of T20 games before the World Cup squad is announced and the World Cup itself happens in June. So we'll get into that. This isn't the video or episode for that. What I wanted to record, and it's been on my recording schedule for a while, but those who watched the last video will know that I've been down and out. I've been ill for the last week or so, so content has been low this week. I'm slowly now, I think, getting back to my former self, and you can probably hear it in my voice that I'm approaching something more like what you'd expect. But I wanted to just, record a reaction video to the West Indies boys under 19 World Cup. The final is ongoing at the time of recording. It looks like Australia are going to win the under 19 World Cup, and well done to them if that's how it goes down. But West Indies have come fifth in this tournament. The best possible position we could have come in this tournament, outside of obviously winning it and making it to the semis. We've come fifth, and again, I kind of feel like it's gone under the radar. Similar to when I did that video about Cricket West Indies signing the Memorandum of Understanding with WEPA, the West Indies Player Association. Stuff was said and done, but it wasn't heralded as big as it should have been, given the context of what it means for wider West Indies cricket development and so on and so forth. And I kind of feel the same with this under-19 World Cup. It's no mean feat for this West Indies side to have come fifth. I don't know what prior expectations were in different quarters. I would hazard a guess that other than within the camp itself, I'm not convinced that many people would have had West Indies down to come within a rain delay of a possible, rain washout of a possible semi-final place. If not for the washout versus Australia, who knows? Would we have beaten them? Would it have mattered? Who knows? But the reality is that they played 5 games in this World Cup and only lost once. And given that 4 of those games were against South Africa, England, Sri Lanka, and obviously the Aussies as well, and we've only taken 1 L in the tournament, I think the players are to be commended. Rowan Nurse, the coach, and the backroom staff, etc., are to be commended. And you know what? Prior to the tournament starting, the captain and vice captain, Stephen Pascal, and Nathan Seeley came on the show. And if you haven't watched that episode, maybe it's instructive to go back now and watch the episode Santoki and I did with Stefan and Nathan. And they spoke very positively about what they felt were their chances within that under-19 World Cup. They felt that they could go there and cause, I don't know if we'd call it upsets, but certainly make more headway than people possibly thought they might. And so, yeah, what I did was, after watching the tournament and watching how it all went down, I just kind of wanted to reflect on it. And what I've written down and what I'm going to just talk to you about is some of kind of like the key takeaways from this tournament. As ever, like the video, share the video, subscribe, but get in the comments below. Let me know what you feel about the different points that I raised. First things first, what I've written down, the first thing I want to talk about is the strategy we had to this World Cup. And with the bat more so. Is this a critique? I don't even know if this is a criticism or if this is just an observation, but we certainly went into this tournament with a strategy that seemed to be go hard at the top. And I guess I'm kind of critical of it. I mean, obviously, we lost to South Africa first up. And one of the reasons, well, there's several reasons why we lost that game. One, notwithstanding the fact that in South Africa's innings, at one point they were 145 for 6, and they recovered to make 285. But in reply, at one point, with plenty of overs to go, West Indies were 190 for 6 and looked odds on to chase it. I think Jewel Andrew was at the crease, I want to say, with maybe Nathan Seeley. But what really, and obviously that was the game where Jewel scored 130, a fantastic coming of age innings for the youngster. But what was the case in that South Africa game, and it repeated itself often throughout the tournament, is that we lost too many wickets early on. So against South Africa, we were 52 for 4 at one point. Against Scotland, we were 45 for 3 in the early stages. Against England, we were 68 for 3, 93 for 4 in the early stages. And when you go back and dissect the tournament, other than the Sri Lanka game, and obviously Australia got washed out, we were having to rebuild quite a lot from the middle to lower order. And this is why you look at someone like a Nathan Edwards, Nathan Seeley, that kind of back end. Even I think Tariq got a good score in one of the matches as well. The back end, along with Jewel Andrew, did a lot of rescue jobs for us. So again, like I say, I'm not being over critical per se. I'm just saying that I don't know if the strategy, I don't know if it was Tariq Edward, actually. I'm probably missing someone else. I don't know if that strategy of going hard at the top was the right strategy to employ, given how much rescuing had to go on in the middle to lower order. Away from that, I thought we were very positive with the ball. I thought in every single match, the South Africa recovery notwithstanding, one of the reasons why we were able to chase down against Scotland, chase down against England, similarly against Sri Lanka, is because our bowling held up. Nathan Edward, the left arm quick, 11 wickets at 18 apiece from St. Martin. Seeley, who we expected to do well with his slow left arm orthodox, 8 wickets at 21. Renato Smith, who I didn't have down as one of my one to watches, to be fair, 8 wickets at 20. And then Isaiah Thorne, 8 wickets at 28. They were like the top wicket takers across the tournament for the West Indies. And what was crucial with just those 4 names, and there were obviously other wicket takers as well. It wasn't just those 4. If I call the others who took wickets, Tariq took 4, although it was actually quite expensive in terms of the average he took his wickets at. And in the one game that Deshaun James played, I think he grabbed 2 wickets as well. So the wickets were evenly shared out, and it kind of spoke to a balanced bowling attack, and that kept us in the games. I mean, if you've got 3 wicket takers, not even before we get to Isaiah Thorne, taking 11, 8, and 8, and all going at 21 apiece and under, you're always going to be in the game. And it allowed our batters to chase, again, apart from that South Africa game, chase totals that were within their reach. Again, though, I question the strategy of how hard we went at the top. In terms of with the bat, obviously, the person who's leaving the tournament with the kind of most attention on his name is Jewel Andrew. Somebody, I think it was Daniel Beswick. I don't know if he's going to be listening to this episode. Let me go to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast handle, because you lot will think I'm making this up, right? Here we go. On January the 1st, no word of a lie. On January the 1st, Daniel messaged me. So Daniel works for ICC, Emerging Cricket, etc. Daniel messaged me and he said, out of interest, Mash, who would you say are the standout players for the West Indies going into this tournament? And I said to him, there's 4 players that I would definitely be looking out from a West Indian perspective, who I think people will be like, wow, who are they? I said Jordan Johnson from Jamaica, Jewel Andrew, Leeward Islands, Nathan Seeley, Barbados, and Isaiah Thorne, Guyana, right? Now, I'm not saying that to say, oh, Mash, you're so good. You really know about West Indies cricket. Well, yes, I do. But also, some of those players people should have just known about. And actually, although I gave those 4 names, not all of them had a tournament as great as I expected them to have. Jewel obviously did well. And I think if you study West Indies cricket, you should never have been surprised at how well Jewel did. 4 innings, 207 runs at 69 apiece, 100, 150, strike rate of 109. There was a lot about Jewel's game which reminded me of a young Nicholas Pooran. I am not saying that Jewel is going to go on to be as good as Nicholas Pooran, but believe the hype. Certainly believe the hype. Jewel is as good at 17 years of age as, I would say, he's the best 17-year-old in the region, right? How his development pathway goes from here, who knows? Who knows? Obviously, there's a lure of T20 cricket. He's already starred in Cool and Smooth. For those who watch Cool and Smooth out of Antigua, you would expect that a CPL franchise that has any kind of sense would pick up Jewel as an emerging player this year. Obviously, Jamaica have left CPL, so you would think that the new Antigua franchise would have, if they don't pick up Jewel Andrew as their emerging player, then they have no sense. They have absolutely no sense. It's a no-brainer, right? So, anyways, Jewel did bits. Jordan Johnson, who I said would stand out, and he is a standout player, but I think his tournament was subpar relative to his ability. In every innings that Jordan played, maybe not every, at least the majority of them, he showed signs of why he is so good. Jordan's so good, it almost comes too easy for him. And there were times in some of the innings that Jordan played where I was like, this is so easy for you. You're getting yourself out. Again, get at me in the comments below if you don't agree with that. But that's how it felt like for me for Jordan. 119 runs in his 5 innings. I think he did it at 30 apiece. Can't remember if Jordan got a 50. Did he get a 50 in this tournament? I swear, did he get one? No, his highest score was 39. Do you see what I mean? He had the highest strike rate in the team, understandably so, 110. And that probably speaks to what I'm talking about. It comes really easy for Jordan. It almost came too easy, gave his wicket away quite a few times, but the talent undoubtedly is there with Jordan Johnson. Some other standouts with the bat. Nathan Seeley was brilliant from an all-round perspective. Already told you, 8 wickets at 21. Best economy in the team, 3.36. And with the bat, he batted 3 innings, I think it was, 61 runs, which doesn't sound a lot, but 31 apiece. He played some handy lower order knocks in this tournament, particularly in the game against Sri Lanka. He helped get us over the line in that game as well. So I think he scored 27 against Sri Lanka, and he scored 33. I want to say that was maybe in the England game as well. So Nathan Seeley showed his all-round ability. And actually, what I liked about Seeley was he played the situation quite well. So well done to Nathan. As expected, we had him on the show before the tournament started. Wedderburn. I forgot about Wedderburn. So Steve Wedderburn came in quite late. He's one of the older players in the team. He came in quite late because it didn't work for Adrian Weir. And Wedderburn was good. 3 innings, 74 runs at 37 apiece. He got 150. Nathan Edward down the order, I think at number 8, scored 101 runs. Did Nathan bat at number 8? I think he batted at number 8 or maybe number 7. He scored 101 runs. So again, he was useful lower down the order. And the captain, Stefan Pascal, he got a 50. Possibly he would look at it and go, what? He scored 131 runs, which was the second highest run scorer in the West Indies team across his 5 innings at 26. Now, he will probably look at and should look at that average of 26 and say, that was still lower than I would have wanted, but he did get 150 in the tournament, and that 50 came in that win against England as well, where he kind of laid the foundation for that win with 58. So there were some standouts with the bat, most notably Jewel Andrew over everybody else. But I feel like if we come away from this tournament saying, what would we want to work on? Granted, some of these players have now graduated beyond under 19 level and won't be at the 2026 World Cup. Jewel Andrew will be there, you would assume. But there wasn't enough top order contributions for me. I mean, across the tournament, we scored 3 50s, 1 from Jewel, 1 from Steve Wedderburn, 1 from Stefan Pascal, and 100. That was it from Jewel Andrew as well. So again, that's what I'm saying. When you look at it, Adrian Weir disappointed. Jordan wasn't as good as he should have been at the top. Joshua Dawn massively disappointed. So I think the batting there was a lot to be desired in the top order, and yes, we only lost once, but I think if we're being hypercritical, we would have to question, did we bat as well as we could have done, even within the context of winning 3 out of the 5 games with 1 washout and 1 defeat against South Africa? Certainly, if we had batted better against South Africa, we probably would have won that game, and then we would probably be in the semi-finals or would have reached the semi-finals of the World Cup. It's ifs, buts, and maybes. Anyways, the point that I really want to go on is this, and this is the real takeaway from this World Cup. To give people the context of how good this performance was from the under-19 boys team, in 2022, our home World Cup, we came 11th. In 2018, we came 10th. In 2020, we came 5th. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, wow, we came 5th. We've never done that before. But the last team that did as well as this team, which was the 2020 World Cup side, they came 5th. Now, check this out, people. These are the players. I'm going to name some players from that 2020 Under-19 World Cup side. And what do you notice? Kamani Melius, Windward Islands captain. Kevlon Anderson, West Indies A team in the Guyana franchise squad. Matthew Ford, West Indies international. Joshua James, but for injury, but now in the West Indies Academy setup. Mbeki Joseph, West Indies Academy setup. West Indies Academy just beat Leeward Islands this week in the 4-day championship. Kurt McKenzie, West Indies international. Ashmead Ned played bits and pieces in CPL in the West Indies Academy setup. Jaden Seals, West Indies international. Naeem Young, West Indies, successful West Indies Academy captain, should be in the West Indies A team. Ramon Simmons, exciting left arm pacer. Injuries have held him back a bit. Already made it through into CPL. World is picked up by franchises already outside of the West Indies. So the last team that came 5th in the Under-19 World Cup in 2020, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those players have graduated to either regional levels in terms of representing franchise squads, West Indies A level, or full West Indies international. I feel like it's no coincidence that that side came 5th. So now I look at this side that has come 5th. Now I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, what's next? What's next? Because when a side comes 5th in an under-19 World Cup, you have to, and I don't doubt that Miles Bascombe won't be doing this, but every single franchise coach, development coach, West Indies Academy coach, director of cricket Miles Bascombe, everybody should be looking at this West Indies under-19 2024 edition and saying, we need to develop these guys properly. Because the evidence points to that when we have a successful under-19 team, there is usually talent coming through that we can harness. I'm not saying that somebody in this under-19 team can do what Alzari Joseph did in 2016 and go straight from under-19s essentially into West Indies full international, or what Jaden Seals did, which is go from West Indies under-19 straight to West Indies full international. Matthew Ford has done it. There's going to be a few others like Kevlin Anderson who will go on to do it. Kurt McKenzie's done it from 2020. So what I would say to people is, who are your graduates from this 2024 squad? Who do you believe? Seals did it in 1 year. McKenzie's done it in 4. Matthew Ford's done it in 4. Who from this current squad or this under-19 squad do you see 4 years from now at the age of 22, 23, 24 being a West Indies international? And even before we get to the 4 years from now, how are we going to get them there? And this is a challenge to all of the franchise teams and like I say, Miles Bascombe, what is the development pathway? Because for me, when you have a side this successful, every single one of these players should now be in the system. How are we going to help? Well, Jordan Johnson's already in the system. He's already played West Indies A cricket in South Africa. So they clearly have identified that Jordan Johnson is one to watch. What are we doing with Jewel Andrew now? What's the plan? Jewel Andrew flew back to Antigua after this World Cup and played for his school team. The man then gave him a PlayStation 5 or something, and he played for his school team and banged out a quick century, right? How quick do we go before we put players like a Jewel Andrew for Leeward Islands? For Leeward Islands. Yeah, for Leeward Islands. Nathan Edward for Leeward Islands. Nathan Seeley and Renico Smith. The Bayesian pipeline is too full. So what's their pathway look like? Are they going to go into the West Indies Academy setup? And if they get into the West Indies Academy setup, we've just seen the West Indies Academy team beat Leeward Islands. Is there space for them? How do they get in? What is their development pathway? Stefan Pascal is in and around the Windward Islands setup. I trust, that's one of the few franchises I trust to try and develop someone like Pascal and take him to the next level. In Jamaica, the Jamaica Scorpions franchise team is down horrendous. So are Jamaica Scorpions going to develop a Steve Wedderburn? Are they going to develop a Jordan Johnson? What is their plan? What are the different franchises' plans to help develop these players going forward? And then I guess this all kind of speaks to, sorry, look at my notes. This all kind of speaks to the lack of and need for, I don't know if it's under 23. I've capped it under 23, but the lack of or need for some kind of under 23 competition, because we already have the Rising Stars competition, which is under 19s, but we don't have anything after under 19s. If you're not in the West Indies Academy setup, if you're not a student, which allows you to play for CCC, where do you play then? If your franchise isn't bringing you through, where do you play? Where do you go? How do you get into your franchise setup? What competitive level of cricket do you play to make sure that your development continues? This is what I've always been worried about in West Indies cricket. When Jimmy Adams has come on the show, when Graham West has come on the show, when anybody who's involved in developmental structures of West Indies cricket has come on the show, we've always ultimately ended up at this discussion point of we do okay at under 19 level and then we lose a lot of players in the system. How are we going to make sure that this 2024 edition that came fifth, how do we make sure we don't lose them then? What's the plan, people? What is the plan? Joshua, here's an example. Going back to that 2020 team that came fifth. So Joshua James, Mbeki Joseph, who else? Naeem Young are part of the West Indies Academy team in this year's 4-day championship setup, and that's why I love the West Indies Academy. The West Indies Academy kind of structure as being part of the way to bridge the gap, to kind of do the things that the franchises aren't really doing. Because Joshua James, by my count, should already be within a Trinidad and Tobago setup, whether white ball or red ball. He's no closer to being near a Trinidad and Tobago setup now than he was 4 years earlier. How long is it going to take someone like a Joshua James to break through? Luckily, we have the West Indies Academy to help him carry on his developmental pathway. But this is kind of the concern that I'm talking about. Do these franchises look at our under-19 players and have a strategy, a developmental strategy that helps these players along? Or is it really just the West Indies Academy that can develop these guys? Miles Bascom, if you're listening, we need an under-23 tournament. I know money is scarce, and we have to, how we spend the money as a Cricket West Indies facility has to be very, very carefully audited, and all the kind of pennies and dollars have to add up. But I just worry that there isn't the requisite amount of competitive inter-island cricket that helps these players along their developmental pathway. Just to put this into further perspective, though, people, I gave you the 2020. I gave you the 2020 team. In 2018, when we came 10th, I can't use the 2022 side because that's only 2 years ago. And even though they came 11th, I think it's too soon to make points about, they didn't develop all this, that, and the other. So I go back to 2018. I went back to the 2018 under-19 side that came 10th. I looked through the squad. So that was 6 years ago. How many players from that under-19 World Cup team in 2018 has made West Indies colours? One. Ali Cathanes. And he was actually the tournament's top scorer overall. So this is my point. A team that was down bad, relatively speaking, 10th in a World Cup, we managed to develop one player. So from that under-19 cohort in 2018, we have developed one player into international colours. Is that good enough? The 2020 cohort that came 5th has given us a whole bunch of players that we should be developing. We've got Ford in international colours. We've got Seals in international colours. We've got Kurt McKenzie in international colours. So never let it be said that the talent isn't there at the under-19 age group. The question is, do we have the developmental... Look at me trying to end with a good line and I mash it up. The question is, do we have the developmental structures to make sure that this 2024 edition reaps the rewards like the 2020 edition has? Listen, I just wanted to riff on that. Just wanted to talk a bit, riff on the under-19 World Cup team, see what people are saying. As usual, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Get the comments below. Not everyone's going to agree with everything I said there. We're on that road to 8K YouTube subscribers. I think we're on 7.5K at the moment, so another 500 to go. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Carib Cricket. Facebook, just type in Caribbean Cricket Podcast. And if you want to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, just head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Every little bit counts. I've been Machel St. Patrick here on half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Thank you and good night.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rules seem coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.